We stand on the shoulders of giants. The past creates the opportunities we claim.
Anderson, long jumper, Anderson, God! Anderson hits it! Anderson hit!
Darren for the tie! He got it! Illinois is going to the Final Four!
We will continue the legacies from the past. What Illinois has been. What it means to represent the Fighting Illini. Welcome to the Illinois Athletics Hall of Fame.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 2017 University of Illinois Hall of Fame Gala, presented by Deloitte and A&R Mechanical Contractors. Please welcome to the podium your Master of Ceremonies for the evening from NBC Sports, Mike Tirico.
Good evening. Hello, everyone. Good evening. I know everyone's settling in and finding their seats, but it's great to be with everyone. Look around the room. Look at all the, not just orange and blue, but look at all the talent in the room, all the people who have made so many memories over the years. We're going to make this a fun and enjoyable night for everyone. Before we get started, let me just see what kind of room we're dealing with tonight. ILL. Seriously? Is that the best you can do in the Field Museum? This is the inaugural Hall of Fame class. This is not for the faint. This is not for the weak. Can we try this again? ILL. Good evening, welcome. I live in Ann Arbor, Michigan. I didn't go to Michigan, though. Thank you, good night to you as well. Actually, I'm an alum of Syracuse, and when they sent the invitation, they blocked out the school. They just said orange and blue. So I feel very at home in this room tonight, so thank you for making me feel at home. We need to be straight with you about something tonight, so I hope you all will understand that before we get too deep into the evening, we want to deal with the elephant in the room. Actually, two elephants in the room. You know what? Somebody gave me that joke and I thought it was terrible, but I figured I'd try it out. We got some characters in the room. Dick Butkus is here tonight. He's somewhere. Where is he? But I'm going to quote the most significant Butkus I met this evening for the tone of the night. Dick's beautiful wife, Helen. Helen said, quote, "If you're not having fun, it's your fault." I like that. We'll live by that tonight. It's been my pleasure for 3 different decades now, the 90s, the 2000s, and the 2000 teens, to cover Illinois in different ways, football and basketball, on TV, during my time at ESPN and ABC, and now I'm at NBC. But I can certainly say Illinois' athletic tradition is rich, it's strong. I can't imagine a school like this not doing something like this, and your great athletic director has put great energy behind a night like this. Josh, job well done. It's going to be a fun night. Should all be very proud of what he's decided to do here tonight. You know, college athletics has evolved, it's changed. Some might argue it's still a bit flawed, but it's great. It's connective fiber for us for the years. It's a good thing we're at the Field Museum because some of us in the room are not the oldest thing in the room. But we all have a connection to our school, no matter the time, no matter the years. And college athletics, whatever night of the week it is in basketball season, on Saturdays in the fall, even a Friday in the fall, it doesn't matter when, college athletics connects you back to days when we were younger, perhaps a bit quicker, but we also enjoyed our great times on a campus. And that's why celebrating college athletics every day, not just football and basketball, but the great Olympic sports as well, is so special. And it's so nice to be able to do that with athletes from all different sports here tonight who we're going to celebrate. Let me just give you some of the simple check marks for the evening, if you will, so you know our plan. First off, start eating your salads. You know, I have a 17 and a 15-year-old at home. When I say please enjoy dinner, nobody ever listens, so really, appease me, enjoy your salads. Full evening, guests, speakers, you have the program. We'll be going through that as quickly as possible. There are some great silent auction items tonight. One-of-a-kind trip to the Masters. If you haven't been, I get to go every year. Please come join us, spend money. Several trips with Fighting Illini teams next season to locations like New York City and Las Vegas. It's great scheduling, by the way. All of these items are listed on the event program that's at your seat. Bidding is open now until 9 o'clock. This all happens on your mobile device, bidpal.net, bidpal.net. The Wi-Fi logo, information, website are in the program. They're going to be on the video screens as we go through the night throughout dinner. After dinner, we're going to meet the Hall of Famers in attendance. Group discussion, which I think is going to be fun. We'll be hearing from them 3 at a time. And during the evening, we'll share some stories, but also just remember as you go through the night why we're all here. It's to celebrate the place that sports has in our lives. A lot of things come, a lot of things go, jobs change, people around us change. The news of the world isn't always positive, isn't always fun, but sports connects. If you look in the beautifully new renovated arena for basketball, or at a football game, you look at one section, you'll see different colors, different races, different genders, different age groups. Very few places in the world does that happen. But sports brings us together, and sports has brought a lot of great people into this room tonight. So let's share the enjoyment, enjoy the evening. You're going to have great entertainment, and then at the end of the night, you'll hear from some of the best in the history of the University of Illinois athletics. In the interim, the Joan Hickey Jazz Trio, led by Joan Hickey from the University of Illinois School of Music, will entertain. Enjoy your meal. Let's have a great night tonight. Good evening again and welcome back. I hope everyone enjoyed their dinner and the music as well. And why don't we give a round of applause to the trio of Joan Hickey, Jeremiah Hunt, and Joel Spencer, who entertained us during dinner tonight. Thank you so much. Friendly reminder, the bid items, the auction information listed in your program. You have 20 minutes, bids accepted until 9 o'clock. If you do win one of these items, a member of the athletic department staff will be in touch with you after the event this evening. So bid high, please. Okay, as we move along tonight, we're going to have a chance to meet several of the Hall of Famers on the stage. 2 members of this class will not be in attendance tonight, but we anticipate them joining us in the festivities next year. And that's golfing great Steve Stricker, who's hosting his own Champions Tour event in Wisconsin this weekend, and current NBA standout Darren Williams. We'll also have several family representatives of deceased members of this Hall of Fame class here tonight. We so appreciate their attendance, and we'll be hearing from many as we go through. I've had a chance to meet some of you. Great to see you here tonight. Now, since 1940, 13 members of this class have been named the annual Illinois Athlete of the Year. For the past 2 decades, this award's been named in honor of a member of this inaugural Hall of Fame class. Before we focus on the past, though, we're going to start the evening recognizing 2 members of current Fighting Illini teams who were just named the 2016-17 Dyke Edelman Male and Female Athletes of the Year. Let's start with junior wrestler Isaiah Martinez. just the 8th two-time winner, the 7th repeat winner in the history of the Mail Award. He earned All-America honors for the 3rd time after finishing as a national runner-up at this year's NCAAs, 2-time national champ, #1 ranking throughout the year, a pretty impressive 31-1 overall record, and he'll have the opportunity for the three-peat next year as a senior. In addition to Isaiah, senior softball player Nicole Evans. Nicole led the Illini in 7 offensive categories. First team All-Big Ten, 3rd team All-America. She helped lead Illinois to back-to-back NCAA tournament appearances and earned the 2017 Arthur Ashe Jr. National Female Sports Scholar of the Year. At this time, please welcome Isaiah and Nicole, who are, wait, don't go anywhere. Isaiah and Nicole, wait. Get back. Come back, the match isn't over. There's no stealing bases here. They're joined up here by your Director of Athletics, Josh Whitman, who you will hear from next. Now, a big hand for Isaiah and Nicole.
I can't say enough good things about Nicole Evans and Isaiah Martinez. Mike went through some of their accolades, but the thing that I can tell you is, as incredible as they are athletically, they're even better people. And it's been a real privilege for me to get to know both of them. And what excites me, for those of you who've had the opportunity to be around our athletic program, is Nicole, Isaiah, they're exceptional, but the reality is they're examples of the hundreds of student athletes who are doing unbelievable work in the classroom, in the competitive arena, and in their lives in our athletic program every day. And so I'm grateful to them. They're an inspiration to all of us who are working in our athletic program, and so thrilled that they could be with us tonight. I tell you what, you come up with an idea. You come up with an idea, you start to picture what something might look like, and then you see it happen all these months later, and you guys clean up pretty nice. I'm not going to lie. It's a special comment for the Illinois staff members in the room, especially I would maybe mention the sports information crew, Kent Brown, Derek Burson, Derek Neal. There's a moral to this story. There's a certain segment of our athletic department staff who have a certain uniform that they like to wear to work every day. It basically consists of an Illinois polo that they were given maybe 4 years ago, 5 years ago. And so to see some of our staff in tuxedos tonight is quite a departure from what we're accustomed to. We might have to be adopting a new uniform at the office. We'll see where that goes. This is what we imagined. When we first started talking about this event over a year ago, this is exactly what we pictured. Since I came on board in February of 2016, we've talked consistently about a standard of excellence. We've talked consistently about setting a bar and striving to be the best in everything that we do. And this event, this night, is another way that we can be the best. And I hope that you're having a wonderful time. I'm so grateful to all of you for taking the time to be with us on a Friday night in the summer. But we have a lot to celebrate. And this is just the beginning of what I think will be a years-long celebration of Illinois athletics. A few special thanks and welcomes that I'd like to throw out there. First, I want to thank Mike Tirico for being with us tonight. I know the colors are familiar. I know you're spending some time in Wolverine land, but for you to spend some time with us tonight and help us celebrate this great history that we have means a lot to us. So thanks so much for being here. Also, as you might imagine, an event like this doesn't just come together overnight. We have literally dozens of staff members who have been working incredibly hard to try and bring this evening together. I can't name all of them, but I'm going to name a few: Marty Kaufman, Maria McDevitt, Bobby Busboom, Kent Brown, Daryl Miles, and again, dozens of others who have worked incredibly hard over the last 3, 4, 6, in some cases 8 or 12 months to make tonight a reality. And so I'm grateful to them and want to give them a round of applause. Next, a few welcomes. A lot of very important people in this room, but a few who have made a very distinct difference on my life, and in particular on the athletic program at the University of Illinois since we arrived here almost a year and a half ago. The first is our president, Dr. Tim Killeen. Dr. Killeen is here, joined by his wonderful wife, Roberta. President Killeen became our 20th president back in May of 2015. One of the most interesting facts I have read about him, he earned his doctorate degree, and I want to get this right, so I'm going to read it, in atomic and molecular physics at the age of 23 years old. I'm embarrassed to say what I was doing when I was 23 years old, but I can assure you it had nothing to do with atoms or molecules. And so we're so grateful for his leadership and thrilled that he's with us. The next is our Chancellor, Dr. Robert Jones. Dr. Jones is joined tonight by his wonderful wife, Lynn. A lot of you, I'm sure, can relate to the experience of getting a new boss. And here I was about 6 months into my tenure as the athletic director, and we have a new chancellor leading our campus in Urbana-Champaign, and you have the nerves that come with that, but I can tell you, now having spent a fair bit of time with Chancellor Jones, that we have unbelievable leadership at our university. He understands the value of college athletics to a major research institution like we have in Urbana, and I'm so grateful to him for his support and his vision, and look forward to working with him in the years ahead. We have at least one member of our Board of Trustees. Jill Smart is with us this evening. Jill is one of our biggest fans, and so grateful to her for all the support that she has shown us over the years. I talk, and some of you have heard me in different settings, the buzzword today in college athletics is alignment. And what you need is a university that has a shared vision for what major college athletics can mean to that institution. And I'm so proud to work at a place like the University of Illinois, where from the athletic director to the chancellor to the president to the board of trustees, we are all pulling the rope in the same direction. We've made a lot of, I think, very significant changes in the last year and a half, and none of those, whether it's the hiring of Lovie Smith, who's with us tonight, the hiring of Brad Underwood, some of the facilities projects that we have in the pipeline. We have a very ambitious agenda in athletics, and it would not be possible without the support of our university and in particular our leadership. And so I'm grateful to all of them for being with us this evening. As you would imagine, sponsorship is a very critical part of putting on an event like this one this evening. This is an unbelievable venue. We wanted to make this the best of the best. And we couldn't have done it without a number of very generous sponsors. Their names are in your programs. They'll be shown on the screen over the course of the evening. So grateful to all of them for the support. We want to recognize, too, in particular, our two presenting sponsors. The first is Deloitte, which is, of course, a long-standing supporter of the University of Illinois. In particular, we want to thank Carl Allegretti, one of their leaders in their Chicago office and their tax practice. I'd like to invite Carl to come up, take a quick photograph. So appreciative of him being with us tonight. Our second presenting sponsor, A&R Mechanical Contractors, are great friends of our program, Habib and Scott Reichard. unbelievable advocates for the University of Illinois, for Fighting Illini Athletics, and certainly for the Champaign-Urbana community. We're so grateful to both of them, so I'd like to invite them to come up and take a quick photo as well. A couple final comments. I've been asked by a lot of people, why do this? Why now? Why create the University of Illinois Athletics Hall of Fame? And the answer, I think, is a few things. When I came on board almost a year and a half ago, I said I felt like in some ways we had lost our identity. We have such proud tradition at the University of Illinois, and in particular within our athletic program. And we need to celebrate that tradition. We need to celebrate our success. Whether it's right or wrong, I think we've got a very strong run of Midwestern humility that runs through this university. And as we all know, this is one of the great universities in the world. And this is one of the best. And this is one of the best college athletic programs that's ever been. And we need to do a good job of telling that story, helping our current student athletes understand our past, helping our future student athletes understand our present. And so what better way to do that than to get together the people who have formed that unbelievable tradition? We have over 120 years of athletic history at the University of Illinois. A lot of you know this year we're celebrating our sesquicentennial as a university, 150-year birthday. It's a big one. And the athletic program was about 30 years late to the party, so we missed the first 30 years, but after that we got up to speed in a hurry. And so what we've seen over the last century plus is some of the great athletes, not just in the history of the University of Illinois, but in the history of the world. I had an opportunity this week to sit down with our freshman student athletes who have just come onto campus. And I said to them, I said, look, sitting in this room, and we don't know who you are yet, but sitting in this room are national champions, Big Ten champions, All-Americans, academic All-Americans, and a whole bunch of University of Illinois graduates. Sitting in this room, and we know who you are national champions, All-Americans, academic All-Americans, and a whole bunch of University of Illinois graduates. And that there's a lot to celebrate, a lot to be proud of. And so as we talk about an identity, this is our identity. We are the Fighting Illini. Let's be proud of what we represent. And when we walk around and we wear that block eye and we wear that orange and blue, make no mistake who we represent and what our future holds. We can do this, we can do it together, and we can do it in a way that nobody ever has. I promise you that. So thank you so much for being here. This is a special, special night, and much, much, much to celebrate. At this juncture, it gives me a lot of pleasure to introduce our first panel. As you know, track and field has played a significant part in the history of our athletic program at the University of Illinois. In fact, outdoor track under legendary coach Harry Gill won the very first NCAA team championship ever presented back in 1921. With that in mind, I'd like you to turn your attention to our video screens as we introduce our first group of Hall of Famers.
Tanja Buford Bailey is the most decorated women's track and field athlete in Fighting Illini history after winning 25 Big Ten individual and relay titles and posting 10 All-American performances. She was named Big Ten Women's Track and Field Athlete of the Year 4 times. Tanja was a 3-time Olympic hurdler, earning a bronze medal in the 400-meter hurdles in 1996. Perdita Felician was a 3-time NCAA champion hurdler with the Illini winning 2 outdoor titles and 1 indoors. The 10-time All-American was twice named National Track and Field Athlete of the Year and concluded her career as the 2003 Big Ten Athlete of the Year. Felician also excelled on the international stage, competing in 2 Olympics and winning a total of 4 medals at world competitions, claiming gold in the 100-meter hurdles at the 2003 World Championships, as well as the 60-meter hurdles at the 2004 World Indoor Meet. Craig Virgin won the NCAA cross-country championships in 1975, won 9 Big Ten individual championships, and 9 All-American awards during his Illini track and cross-country career. He was a 3-time USA Olympic team qualifier in 1976, 1980, and 1984, and is a member of the USA Track and Field Hall of Fame. Virgin is the only American male to win the IAAF World Cross Country Championships, which he did twice.
And would you be kind enough to welcome Tanja, Perdita, and Craig up to the stage now. 3 University of Illinois Hall of Famers. I'm Mike. Pleasure to meet you wherever you'd like to sit, please. Mike, pleasure to meet you. Craig, congratulations again. Please. Kind enough to ask, where should we sit? It's your night. Do whatever you want. Y'all are in charge here. Tanja, I'll start with you because the video started with you. 25 Big Ten individual and relay titles during an impressive career. What'd you do with all the medals? What'd you do with all the trophies? 25 is a big number now.
I was a team player. They're in a box in my mother's house. They're plaques, actually. They gave us plaques back then, way back then.
That's the joy of it, isn't it? It's the memories, not what the medals are, what the trophies are. What was it about your time at Illinois that has given you guidance, vision, passion for this next phase, the post-athletic phase of your life? What lessons did you learn?
You know, I can't imagine from how I grew up that I would, end up at a place like Illinois and have the kind of experiences that I had. I mean, I really grew within the first 6 months. It was pretty fascinating what I learned and what the world was really like, which was a lot different than my hometown in Dayton, Ohio, and my community. So it was just a blessing to be able to be in that environment and learn so much academically and as a student athlete. And Champaign is really a great city, and I don't think people really realize that and how much there is to do in that little small town. and all the student athletes riled together, and we just had so much fun. It was 4 really, really great years.
Craig, can you talk about your time in Champaign-Urbana and your thoughts on as you arrived and what it meant to you to be on the campus and have the impact that you had knowing the place so well?
Well, Mike, thank you. And I'm honored to be on the stage with these 2 lovely ladies, and both of them Olympians. And Tanja was not only a great athlete for the University of Illinois herself, but when I've done color analyst work for the Big Ten Network, I got to cover her coaching at the University of Illinois, and she was the coach of the year one year, and she built that program back to strength. So Tanja, you're not only a Hall of Famer as an athlete, you're a Hall of Famer as a coach. Okay?
Thank you very much, Craig.
Mike, when I got there at the University of Illinois in 1973, I'm sitting next to Dick Butkus out there, and the university, and I tell it like it is, so if any of you can't handle it, be prepared, fasten the seatbelt. But we were recovering from the slush fund scandal back in the 1960s, and we hadn't signed a state champion in a long time. And when I could have gone anywhere in the country, and when I announced to people that I was going to stay in state and I was going to stake my future with the orange and blue and prove to them that the great athletes in Illinois did not have to leave the state. They didn't have to go to California. They didn't have to go to Michigan. They didn't have to go to Florida or Tennessee or Texas. They could stay right here in the state of Illinois and not only get a great education, but pursue excellence as in athletics. And I went there, and it took a while, and my goal wasn't just to achieve personal achievements. My goal was to achieve team achievements. And by the time I was a senior, our team in cross country finished 5th in the country and 3rd in track, okay? And one last thing is that the program in track and cross country, we were the number 3 sport at Illinois for those 4 years. Every school has a number 3 sport behind basketball and football, all right?
Right.
We were number 3, and to show you how much it was, we hosted the NCAA championships my senior year. And so I got to run my last race as an Illini in the NCAA championships in Memorial Stadium, and there was no greater honor than that. So that kind of sums up what I feel.
And that was in 1977, and while Craig was so kind to point out the team accomplishments and how he cherishes those, I do want to point out that Craig is still, 40 years later, the only American man to win World Cross Country Championship, doing it twice. So credit to you, 40 years later, for being the only American man to do that. Well, I'll cross the border to the first Canadian woman to ever win a medal at the World Championships, winning 2 World Championships in the 100-meter hurdles. So, Perdita, you bring a great and unique and special pride to it. Talk about how your experience was as you came over from Canada and then really fell in love with the campus and the athletic department there and your track teammates as well.
Yeah, it's surreal being here tonight because one of the reasons I came to school is because of Tanja Buford Bailey. Just studying the media guide when Gary Winkler mailed it to my house in Pickering, Ontario, and just seeing what she had accomplished and thought, gosh, if I could accomplish a percentage of that. I was different though, because I was a very reluctant athlete. My mom is here tonight in the audience, and so is my stepdad. But yes, and in the 10 years that I lived in Champaign, my mom was only able to come up once, and that was for my graduation in 2004. And this is her second time in Illinois in 10 years, and she couldn't miss this. So thank you, Mom, for being here. My mom is, she immigrated to Canada when she was a teenager, and she had me there, so I was her first child born in Canada. So she knew nothing about organized sport or athletics. And here she has this little child who is tearing up the track, right? And when we started getting scholarship offers from all across the states, I started turning them down. And so in May of 1999, when Gary Winkler, the head coach of track, called me, and I was just getting inundated with requests, I was like, I want all these people to stop calling me. So I turned down Gary Winkler. Who does that? And for me, when I got my senses together that summer, and my mom sat me down and she said, Perdita, this is an opportunity. Honey, I don't know how I'm going to pay for you and your siblings to go to school. You have to take this. And it was scary because when we got the scholarship offers, they said like $25,000, and my mom thought we had to pay for it. I was like, no, they're giving that to us, Mama. And so when you guys talk about how Illinois has really enriched your life, I can tell you it has changed the trajectory of my life. And yeah. And so when young Canadian women, young Canadian athletes say that I have inspired them, I know that I stand on the shoulders of Tanja Buford Bailey. I stand on the shoulders of Gary Winkler and all the athletes that have walked the hallways of the University of Illinois, and I'm forever grateful for that. So thank you.
And as we wrap up with these 3 Hall of Fame track athletes, I'll ask you, if you can, in one sentence, to put into words what this honor means to each of you. Craig, I'll start with you.
When I came to the University of Illinois and I walked around campus, I saw names on buildings, I saw names on stadiums, I saw names on gyms, and many of those names are in this class tonight. And so it makes me so thrilled to be here, to be a part of that first group. I have a teammate out there that's made 2 Olympic teams, and he'll probably be in next year, and I'll be out there supporting him. Really, one of the most special moments for me of being at the University of Illinois was my teammates. I never joined a fraternity. I never had to. They are here tonight. There's like 15 people here tonight from my team. The Illini 8, stand up, please.
Stand over there, guys. There they are.
Right there. These guys, you know, I would take a bullet for them, and they would take a bullet for me. Was our team successful because we were close, or were we close because we were successful? You be the judge. But when you go to a school and college, you want to get an education, you want to improve as an athlete, but by God, I hope you can have teammates like I did that'll be with you for the rest of your life, okay? Guys.
That's a heck of a group. I saw them upstairs at the reception. And you know how Fridays in the summer in Chicago usually mean Cub games? Well, the alcohol consumption down on the Friday when the Cubs are not home, those guys took care of it, don't worry. They were having a good old time.
Cross country at its best.
Bless you for that. Thank you, guys. Perdita,
Yeah.
in a shorter sentence than Craig's, maybe.
That'll be easy.
Nah, you know what? You're Hall of Famers. You're all in charge. Do whatever the heck you want.
You know what? I'll be quick. I will say the one word that comes to mind for me is the word gratitude or grateful. I graduated in 2004, so it's been 13 years, and I still long for the South Farms. I still long for the Armory. I still long for 300 repeats where we're puking, and I miss that. And all of you who have been an athlete at the University of Illinois, you understand that fraternity, that sorority, that community is probably impossible for us to recreate in our lives now. But I am so grateful to be connected. And I want to say quickly to Josh, thank you for this. I can say I feel reconnected. I feel re-energized. I feel like I know what's going on. And I'm not alone. We've been saying this as alumni. So this is amazing. And so I know that for me, I'm just one person, but together, look at what we've done, look at what we've accomplished, and there is so much more to come. And I'm just so grateful for this night and everything that Illinois has meant to me.
Tanja?
You know, in one word, I would just say empowerment. You know, when I left Dayton, Ohio in 1989, I'm telling my age, you know, I was kind of shy and had no idea what, you know, was out there in the world. And I tell you, 4 years later, I felt like I could conquer the world, and I still feel that way. And that was from those 4 to 5 years that I spent in Champaign, and then the next 4 to 5 years after. And the 10 years that I coached there, there's no way I would be where I'm today if it wasn't for U of I.
Ladies and gentlemen, Hall of Famers, Tanja Buford-Bailey, Perdita Felician, and Craig Virgin. Congratulations all. At this time, I'd like to welcome another Fighting Illini basketball standout to the stage. Guard on the team from 83 to 87. I think we know what that group did. 4 NCAA tournaments, 84 Big Ten title. Currently serves as the radio analyst of the Fighting Illini Sports Network, those great broadcasts. Would you please welcome Doug Altenberger.
Good, man, good. Sorry, Coach, my hands are still bad. Here, I dropped my glasses. First of all, it's a great honor to be up here. Having grown up, my dad played in the 50s. I got to talk to Manny a little bit. They played together. He was a senior. But as a kid growing up, in the back of a car, listening to all the stories with Hyle Stout, who played with Harry Combs, I had no idea that I'd be playing basketball at the University of Illinois. And it was just a great thrill, and it's just an honor to be here, and I'm very humbled. Before I get going and introduce two great basketball players, I want to do a shout out to my old coach, Lou Henson. Coach. And also his beautiful wife, Mary, and they talked about the Hall of Famers. We're talking about impact. That man right there changed my life, and I love him, and you're the best in the whole world. And thanks for giving me the opportunity to play at the Assembly Hall, State Farm Center. So, well, again, tonight we celebrate two of the most dynamic basketball players who helped carry the great Illini tradition. Both these guys led their teams to the Final Four. Let's please direct your attention to this video screens to see two Illini greats, Dee Brown and Nick Anderson.
Nicknamed the one-man fast break, Dee Brown was a two-time consensus All-American in 2005 and 2006, earning National Player of the Year honors in 2005 when he helped lead the Illini to the Big Ten title and NCAA National Championship game. In 2006, Brown won the Bob Cousy Award as the nation's top point guard. He finished his career with a school record 114 victories. Basketball star Nick Anderson earned first-team All-Big Ten honors after helping lead the famed Flying Illini to the 1989 NCAA Final Four. Nick averaged 17 points per game during his two-year Illini career, and his 35-foot buzzer beater at Indiana is considered one of the iconic plays in Fighting Illini history.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dee Brown and Nick Anderson. You know, you can tell when a guy's still got it. Dee Brown's so fast, he got up here before I introduced him. The one-man fast break is still alive here in Chicago tonight. Has everyone seen Nick's socks, by the way?
Very fresh.
That's outstanding. It doesn't match anything. Yes, it does. It matches the whole night, doesn't it? What's this like, guys? This is so neat to think about an inaugural class and to be a part of it. And Nick, as you've seen honors for teammates over the years, teammates in the league over the years, what does it mean in the heart, in the gut, to be part of the inaugural Illini Sports Hall of Fame class?
Well, this is definitely a very special moment. I'm a guy that I never played the game for accolades. I played the game because I loved it. I love the competitive drive that I approach with it. But, you know, this is a very special moment, being amongst my Illini family, because that's what we are. The University of Illinois giving me such a great opportunity. I didn't choose the University of Illinois. They chose me. They gave me an opportunity to come on board, and I'm thankful and grateful for that opportunity.
And both of you, with that platform, inspired a lot of people. I'm sure people come up to you all the time and tell you about a game they were at or a moment in your Illinois career that they remember. How many times have kids come up to you and said, hey, I wore a headband because you wore a headband from 02 to 06?
Y'all want me to see? A lot of people came up to me tonight and asked me why I got a headband on. Honestly, it was big, man. Being from the state of Illinois and staying home was a big thing for me. When I played, I remember seeing all the orange, all the kids, want to have braids, want to have headband, and that was just my style. That's who I was. But it's big for me when kids come up and, remember me from putting the jersey on, remember me from my headband, the orange mouthpiece, the headband. But what they remember is the orange. They remember the winning. They remember me being on the court and playing with all my heart and giving that, giving my all every time I step on the court. And that was some of the best years of my life.
2 Big Ten titles in 04 and 05, and so close. You guys were really close to 4 Big Ten titles. It's a bygone era where teams stay together for more than a minute, as the kids like to say now. Well, you and Darren especially, what was that bond like? Because all of us around the country grew to like watching you guys together, and the 29-game win streak, that was something that captivated the country because we knew you guys. What was it like on the inside and getting to know your teammates so well?
Oh, it was a brotherhood. I think when we talk about that team, the biggest compliment for me that I get when I go around the state, I go around the nation, I go around the world, is people say that 05 team. Craig said it best. I'm none without my teammates. When people walk up, you can name Rod, you can name James, you can name Jack, you can name Rich, you can name Darren. We had guys who really all believed in their roles and did their jobs, and we competed at a high level. So when you talk about me, there was never no me in any conversation we had. It was always us, us together, family. We won, and that was big for us because we stayed in the gym, we stayed together, we knew each other. We come from different walks of life. We had guys from Florida, we had guys from Texas. But one thing that was common, we had the common denominator was we loved each other. It was like a brotherhood. We still talk to each other today. We made each other better. And I think when you talk about we, the biggest compliment I always get is, man, that 05 team. It was never about me. So me sitting up here today is strictly a reflection of my team. I could name a lot of different situations where my team made me better. And I love those guys. I love those guys.
Awesome. Talking about memories, I know this is an Illinois night, but I want to share one that's going to get back to these guys. So I was a student. I had just gotten hired for a local TV job in Syracuse, New York. And in 1988, Keith Smart broke our heart, hit the shot. Indiana won the championship over Syracuse at the New Orleans Superdome. The next year, Syracuse had a really good team. The best college basketball game I saw in person, 89 regional final in Minneapolis. I think the score, I didn't even look at this, I just thought of it up here. I think the score was 89-85, a college basketball game, no overtime. Syracuse kept from the Final Four by the Flying Illini. That was one of the great games I've ever seen. Thank you for rubbing it in with your applause. So nice, all of you. You guys played a brand of ball that was just great. It was so much fun. What made that Flying Illini group so cohesive, just like Dee was talking about with his group?
Well, Dee, he hit the nail on the head. You talk about we were together. We did things away from the court. We hung out together. We ate together. We did multiple things together. And, Dee mentioned that they had guys from out of the state. Majority of our players were right here in the state of Illinois. Myself, Kendall Gill, Kenny Battle, Lowell Hamilton, Steve Bartow, Larry Smith. You can go on down the line. Marcus Liberty. We were a family. And one thing that kept us together, and Doug Altenberg already touched on this, and that was Coach Henson. I still hear that voice in my head. Nick, get that rebound. I still hear it. He stayed on us, and that was good for us. And you go back to that Syracuse game, and I remember it just like yesterday.
You don't have to.
I have to tell you about it.
Hope so.
They jumped out on us a 15-2 run, and that's when the chirping started. But we knew who we were. It's not over. We were a team. We never gave up. We were guys 6'5", 6'6", 6'7". We know how to play defense. Coach, that's what Coach always. That was his motto. You have to play defense. If you didn't play defense for Coach Henson, you would not be on the floor. That's what we modeled. We played defense. We pressured. And the second thing, you will not play on my team if you're not in shape. He used to run our tongues out.
He's smiling over there. I don't know if you can see on the other side there.
We had those two advantages on other teams. We're going to play defense, and we know you're not better conditioned than we are. We're going to fight to the end, and that Syracuse games, we wore them down.
You did. It was one of the great games I've ever seen in college basketball in person. Honored to be there. Speaking of great basketball games and memories, before I let these guys go, the Arizona game, 2005. And so you have so many people who are living on every second because they're lifelong Illinois fans. I happened to be at another site for that game, another city at a tournament site. That game shut down cities. I mean, people, when you guys were coming back, people, there's no way. And that overtime just shut down a good part of any American around a TV for a while. What do you remember the most about the 05 comeback against Arizona?
Well, I'm so happy that my mom is here so she could testify to this story. It was my grandma last time watching me play. And if anybody was in attendance here today that came to that game, it was the loudest game I've ever been in, one of the best sporting events I've ever been in my life. My grandma slept through the whole game. Can't make this up. After the game, we all hyped, we happy, you know, we come out of the locker room. She's like, oh, you boys know you played a good game. My mom put it right on the spot. Your ass was asleep the whole game. And some of the people that was on the same row as her even went to the extent of just telling how she was asleep. She was just unbelievable experience. That year she wore that Final Four shirt. That was a trip to the Final Four. She wore that shirt until the day she passed. And one thing that's special about that game was everybody played a role. From 1 through 9, through every coach to every fan. So when I go around the country and I hear stories about where you were, the Arizona game, you know, I know some guys was locked out their house. Their wife kicked them out, couldn't let them back in because they gave up on us. That game down 15 with 3:57 to go. It's easy to give up, right? Easy to give up. I can specifically name each possession that each player made a screen, a steal, assist, shot making. Everybody remember Darren's shot. There's no Darren shot without Jack getting the tip ball. There's no shot without Jack making the screen. There's no shot without Coach Weber drawing up those amazing plays for Luther to get those shots. A lot of you guys think I probably fouled at half court. There's no play without me stealing that basketball. There's a lot of plays that went into that game that made me really understand that never give up, keep pushing, keep fighting, and we together, us wins. That place was oranged out. I think they got to do renovations on that building because of us, because we shook the stands out. We even had Bill Murray on the side cheering for us. It was just an awesome experience, and it was nothing without the team. It was nothing without us.
Well, I know Coach Underwood's got a great opportunity because he's a terrific coach. This is such a great basketball era, and it's time for America to have another great Illinois basketball run because you guys are at the helm of two great ones. Hall of Famers, Dee Brown, Nick Anderson, congratulations. I'll skip the prepared remarks for this introduction because this is simple. There have been many very good commissioners in intercollegiate athletics. There is one that will go down as the best ever commissioner in intercollegiate athletics. He's done the job for 28 years through different generations of sport, different generations of intercollegiate athletics, and he has taken the Big Ten always in a position where the other conferences are envious and the other conferences are catching up. If you have rooted for a Big Ten team, have someone who's a Big Ten alum, or many of you Big Ten athletes over the last nearly 3 decades, the great nature of this conference and the success of this conference is due to a lot of the coaches and a lot of the athletes, but one dynamic executive, the commissioner of the Big Ten, Mr. Jim Delaney.
Thanks, Mike. D. Brown, I got a 1-2. I got the Illinois comeback against Arizona, 15 points, 3 minutes and 40 seconds. But the second is Carolina coming back against Duke in 74 from 9 down with 17 seconds to go. So I sat with Ron Gunther. I sat with Ron Gunther at the Allstate Arena, and it was the loudest basketball game I've ever attended, probably the most exciting game I ever attended. Subsequent to that, I was with Lute Olson and a variety of other coaches who won world or national Olympic championships. And we sat next to each other all night. There's one thing he didn't want to talk about. So I didn't really bring it to him. I want to mention a couple people. I've got 4 minutes to talk about 121 years. So if I go to 5 or 6 minutes, you'll understand this is a very special, special place. But Illinois has had 2 leaders that have had a profound effect on me. One is Stan Eikenberry, who is chairman of the Big Ten Board of Directors. I'm not here without Stan, and I don't survive my first 5 years without Stan. So not only is he a great educational leader, but a huge heart, great leader. And so I want to recognize Stan as a person who continues to lead, continues to be a special guy. And it wouldn't be right for me to address an Illinois group without telling you how much I think of Stan Eikenberry. The other person is Ron Gunther. Ron is out of the country. Ron is a friend, a colleague for 25 years, and as well as his wife, Megan. And we compete like crazy on Saturday and try to collaborate. We take Sunday off, like they say in the good book. And Monday through Friday, we try to collaborate and make things better. Ron was a great colleague, a great leader, a great competitor, a great friend of students, and a great friend of coaches. He's now working with me in the Big Ten, and he's one of my best friends ever. So when I think about my time in the Big Ten, I can't help but think I'm not here, but for Stan Eikenberry. I don't survive except for Stan Eikenberry, and Ron Gunther has been every step of the way with me for continuing on to the present time. Illinois, a special university. Growing up in New Jersey, going to school in North Carolina, I knew about it. I knew about Tal Brody from Trenton, who played here. I knew about Butkus. I knew about Grabowski. So the word travels, even if it's no internet, no satellite. Illinois had its presence on the East Coast. Even when I was in the Ohio Valley Conference, I remember a really big game made Dick Vitale stand on his head. You probably don't want to hear about that. But Illinois has a rich tradition academically, a rich tradition athletically. 23 Nobel Prize winners, University of Illinois. 20 alumni who won Pulitzer Prizes, 3 of them twice. 500 first-team All-Americans, 104 academic All-Americans. There's also another special guy who occupied my chair from 1945 to 1961, Tug Wilson. And if you don't know his story, you should learn his story. He came from Atwood, Illinois, a small town. He taught in a one-house schoolhouse before he went to Illinois. So he was an educator before he became a football player. And then he was injured, and he became a discus and shot put, javelin. He went to Antwerp, and for one reason or another, he wasn't allowed to throw the shot put, but he did throw the discus, and he came in 10th. He came back. He worked for Mr. Huff for a period of time, moved to Drake, created the Drake Relays, came back to Northwestern as the athletic director, and in 1944, the first commissioner, Commissioner Griffith, was found dead in his bed by Tug Wilson. Tug Wilson went back to report this to the athletic directors. The athletic directors asked Tug to step out. and they, in a consensus way, said, we want you to be our commissioner. When they reported that to the president said, we named the commissioner, not the athletic directors. And then they named him the athletic director. So he served from 1945 to 1961 through a critical period of change and led the conference. And if you want to read a little bit about college sports history during that time, Tug Wilson was an incredible leader and educator. He was also president of the United States Olympic Committee from 53 to 65. So Illinois' leadership at the president's level, at the athletic director's level, at the players' level, at the coaches' level, has been remarkable. Not too far from here, in 1896, 7 university presidents came together. One from Illinois, one from the University of Chicago, one from Minnesota, one from Wisconsin, one from Purdue, and one from the University of Michigan. And they created the Big Ten Conference, which became the model for everything that followed it. Even Walter Byers, the first executive director of the NCAA, worked in the Big Ten office until he became head of the NCAA in 1951. So the Big Ten was the first in many areas, but also has been the leader in many areas for 121 years. We continue to do that. We live and play from the Atlantic Ocean to the Colorado border, from the Canadian border to the Mid-South. We have the great Big Ten diaspora, the largest alumni base in the world. Okay, we have 480,000 students on the roof, 6.5 million alumni, all married to somebody, all with at least 2 kids. So we move the needle. We move the needle, and we will continue to move the needle on the field, in the classroom, with regard to public policy. The Big Ten receives over $11 billion in federal research, more than the University of California system and an Ivy League combined. So it's happening on the field, and it's happening in the classroom, and it's happening by our alumni throughout America and the globe. In 1915, the Big Ten created the concept of the Medal of Honor. There's an interesting story about the Medal of Honor. 103 men have received it. 103 men at Illinois have received it. 35 women at Illinois have received it. It wasn't until 1982 that women's sports was integrated into the Big Ten. Far too late, but first. Far too late, but first. And that represents the first effort in major college athletics to represent playing on the field and work in the classroom. John Wooden, Jim Grabowski, on and on. It's a lineup of great men and great women learning lessons on the field and also leading in the classroom. Mike Hopkins, right? Mike Hopkins, 1992 4-year letter winner, a leading astronaut. And the medal itself has got a great story. I know I'm beyond my 4 minutes. It's got a great story. There's a gentleman by the name of R. Tate McKenzie, McGill University, born in Montreal, good friend of James Naismith. Gets educated as an orthopedic surgeon, serves in World War I, comes back as a professor of surgery at University of Pennsylvania and takes up sculpture. He designed this medal in 1915 for the Big Ten. If you look at the medals at the Penn relays, R. Tate McKenzie, good friends of James Naismith. If you look at the Stockholm Olympics, 1912, R. Tate McKenzie. So he exemplified the artist, the athlete, and the scholar. And he developed this medal. Now in 1982, there was only a male figure, but in 1982, there was a desire to create 2 figures, a male figure and a female figure. But there was no R. Tate McKenzie behind that. That was done by Jocelyn's Trophy Company. And with all due respect to Jocelyn's, it was not a work of art. On my staff, Diane Dietz, who won this award in 1982, she's the all-time leading scorer at a school in Ann Arbor. I won't mention it because I know that won't bring about the kinds of applause that she would deserve. She came to work for me from Comcast, to work for the Big Ten, and she said, Jim, I want to show you something. And she showed me the medal that Art Tate McKenzie had designed, and she didn't have one because we had shifted to a trophy maker medal that had really no artistic originality. It had some correctness, but it didn't represent what it should have represented. And she said, you know, we need to switch back. I said, I can't touch that one. I said, you know, I could make a lot of change, but there's got to be a little bit of an upside. I see no upside. She went to every senior women's athletic director and asked for their support. Every single one of them supported her, and every former female athlete going back to 1982 got the real thing, a medal designed by Art Tate McKenzie. I thought that was special, showed heart, leadership, and equality so that the women received the same great medal from 1915 to 2017. So what I would like to do is recognize this year's winners, because each institution gets to identify one male and one female who are above the rest, academically and academically. Nicole Evans, volleyball player, University of Illinois. Let's hear it for Nicole. And Joe Spencer, the 103rd recipient of the Medal of Honor at the University of Illinois. Joe and Nicole, if you please come up.
Nicole Evans, softball. The Glen Ellen, Illinois native owns a 3.8 cumulative GPA in kinesiology and is a two-time NFCA All-America Scholar athlete and three-time academic All-Big Ten selection, while also being named a 2016 and 2017 Big Ten Distinguished Scholar. Earlier this spring, Evans was named Arthur Ashe Jr. Female Sports Scholar of the Year to honor undergraduate students of color who best exemplify academic and athletic achievement. Joe Spencer, football. He was awarded the John Wooden Citizen Cup earlier this spring, a prestigious national award given to the most outstanding role model among college student athletes. The Big Ten Sportsmanship Award and Fighting Illini Spirit Award honorees' long list of community involvement includes serving as president of Illinois Uplifting Athletes Chapter, president of the Student Athlete Advisory Committee, raising nearly $40,000 for charity in 2 years by organizing the Illini's Lift for Life, and helping organize Illinois Student Athletes Variety Show that has raised over $80,000 in the last 5 years.
I'm so grateful to have played at the University of Illinois for 4 years. We constantly talk about family throughout our teams and athletic department, and as you've seen tonight, that's exactly what we are. I've made relationships that will endure a lifetime. Some of my closest friends and people I now consider family were and are students at the University of Illinois. Playing softball for the Illini will always be one of my greatest experiences and greatest accomplishments. Not only did I play at the highest level of competition on the field, I competed with the brightest minds in the classroom. On a particularly hot day, I remember, we had run a few foul pole sprints, and after a hot day, we packed up and went home. And here's Allie Balk, our future math teacher, sitting trying to use the Pythagorean theorem to figure out exactly how far we just ran around the field. Those were the moments that truly make you realize how great this place is. We have so much support from our academic staff who actively seek out internship opportunities and real-world experience opportunities, to our very own Kathy Kaler, who works tirelessly to create opportunities to get us out into the community, to our coaches who push us past the point where we think we should be to points we never thought possible. So many young athletes dream of the opportunity to play for the Fighting Illini, who hope and wish to wear the orange and blue. My opportunity to join the Illini family would never have been possible without the determination and courage from our next group of inductees. Thank you, Dr. Carol Kars, for creating the opportunity to play at the collegiate level and for the Big Ten. Thank you. Thank you, Renee Heiken-Sloan and Mary Eggers-Tendler, for inspiring young women to achieve greatness as you did. It is so fitting that we induct these amazing women on the 45th anniversary of Title IX. Thank you, and please direct your attention to the screen as you recognize these legendary women.
Carol Kars served as basketball, volleyball, and softball coach before starting her Hall of Fame administrative career at Illinois. She is credited with creating and developing the Illinois women's athletics program from the ground up, starting in 1974. 8 years later, Kars was a driving force on the committee that submitted the initial proposal to add women's athletics to the Big Ten Conference in 1981. The 1993 National College Golf Player of the Year, Renee Heiken-Sloan, was a 3-time All-American and claimed 3 straight top 10 finishes at the NCAA championships for the Illini. She was a 2-time Big Ten Player of the Year and Big Ten championship medalist during her sterling Illinois career. Mary Eggers-Tendler won the 1988 Honda Broderick Award as the nation's top player, capping off an incredible career that included 3 first-team All-America honors, 3 Big Ten Player of the Year awards, and an NCAA record for career hitting percentage. Eggers was the driving force behind the golden era of Fighting Illini volleyball, leading the team to 3 Big Ten championships and to the Final Four twice in 1987 and 1988.
And please welcome those 3 ladies to the stage now, Dr. Carol Kars, Renee Heiken-Sloan, and Mary Eggers-Tendler. Right there is perfect, thank you. Just a quick postscript, by the way. I just asked Nicole on her way back to her seat, and some of you may know this. Her plans for the future are coaching and getting her master's University of Illinois. So you can't get rid of your greatness. Isn't that great? What an influence that will be on the athletes to follow in her footsteps. And Nicole also took part of my job. She mentioned that it's the 45th anniversary of Title IX here this week. And Dr. Kars, it's such an important time for women and women's athletics. Take us back to when Title IX began on college and high school campuses. What was that period like?
Hello?
Perfect.
It started very easily on the campus here for a number of reasons. One, they were committed to excellence, honesty, integrity, and get about the task of winning honestly and regularly. Secondly, the student athletes that were not playing on any course of action for Illinois, or anybody else for that matter, in the second year, and that became very much a part of things. Academics was always important. Consistency of people and staff. And that's one of the most critical opportunities that we have to take care of the best we can of the university, student athletes, staff, and members. But it's also important because you don't ever step out on the field on a second day not knowing what you're going to be doing, how you're going to do it, what you're going to do, and who's in charge. These young ladies up here are great examples. Renee came to Illinois and was here to be recruited, and she was 15 years old at the time. Is that right, Renee? 15 years old? I thought she was too young to come, but I told her we would try to help her. She did. She came, and when it came golf season, she wanted to have her golf season, and I said, well, you'll use the eligibility year if you do that. And she said, it's okay. I'm going to be here shorter time because I want to be on the tour. I said, okay. That was the LPGA tour she was talking about, not our tour. Anyway, I was go to a meeting that summer when the tournament was being played, and looked up on the newspaper, front wide open. They had the candidates mentioned on the front page of USA, and they had the people listed that who were winning. I looked at my page. I didn't wear glasses then, but I punched somebody and I said, read this. Is this Renee Hiken here? She said, yes. I said, what number is that? She says, 1. I said, goodbye. I jumped up and went to the tournament. And she finished in the top 3. And still finishing very, very well. She's dedicated her commitment in her life to her student athletes and her colleagues, etc. By now, things are lightening up and more people are playing. Jim Delaney talked about the women that were on the campuses of our Big Ten schools and their involvement in all of the dimensions of putting a program together. It was great fun to do that. Jim and his staff were always receptive, but I would say one of the things that was great about Jim's programs, the Big Ten programs, is the person that hired me was Cecil Coleman. And he was great. We had a staff of 3, Cecil, myself, and another gentleman named from Michigan State. We were providing service, but we were providing a plan that would last forever in our minds, because we didn't want it to be good one day and a mess the next day. That was not what we were about. That's not what this university is about. This university is about exactly what has been expressed here tonight. And it's allowed to go on, it's in this way. When I was little, I wanted to make a difference. And my daddy died when I was young, so I didn't have anybody too much. And I always wanted to play games, and I always wanted to have sports. Didn't have them that age. But when we came on board, confidence in themselves and confidence in how the programs were to be run and disciplined came forward. And that's why you're here today with the kind of goodwill and the good thoughts about what it is that we want at the University of Illinois. Josh has been terrific early on here, and I tell you, you deserve a lot of credit, Lodge. You have just numbers of ways that things are brought to light and are well done, and other people are sometimes pretty jealous because they don't have what we have. It's a mess on occasions. It's a mess on occasions everywhere. But it'll be out of a mess with the staff and the confidence, the commitment, and the passion that the people who are at this university are here, and they're here tonight to make another generation begin, move forward, and be committed to success of excellence. Thank you.
And Carol, you set that example for so many women over the years, and I want to ask Mary and Renee a question before we move on to our next panel, because much like Carol was discussing, there were hurdles of the past or doubts of people that impacted both of you. For example, volleyball was not a sport for the Midwest. It was dominated by the teams from the West. And you are part of a turnaround for a program that not only has success, but also a great environment and atmosphere still for the sport. Talk about what the difficulties were, or the challenges perhaps, and now the successes and the joys that you see as that sport has become so relevant and so prevalent on campus.
Well, volleyball is a great sport, and I had a great time my 4 years at University of Illinois. I always remember my very first match in Kenny Gym, and we got to the gym and there was hardly anyone there. I think we had about 80 people in 1985 for that first match, which was okay for me because I'm very introverted. As Dr. Kars knows, I think she always talks about whenever she saw me walk into class or anything, my head was down looking at the sidewalk more than looking up. So the 80 people were okay at the beginning, but it just started growing. And volleyball became the thing to come watch. The fans loved to watch us. They were realizing that these women were really, really athletic and were exciting. And there was points being scored on every play. And the most important thing is we started winning. I think a couple of years prior to that, the team was 5-25. Mike Hebert came in, who Dr. Kars hired, and did such a great job. And our first year in '85, we won our first 30 matches, and they kept coming and coming, and all of a sudden, Kenny Gym was sold out. When I lived across the street in the apartments from Kenny Gym, and I would walk over to get ready for the match, get changed, and there was already people in the stands. And that was the weirdest thing for me ever. And then I grew to enjoy watching people come in, the band, the students, and today Illinois volleyball is huge, and real excited about Chris Thomas being hired and what he's going to do for the program.
Great. And Renee, Dr. Kars talked about your aspirations as a teen to be out on tour. Although it's south of here, you're not exactly talking about the best climate in the world to form a year-round golf game, yet we've seen great golfers over the years at Illinois have success. You could have gone someplace warm to play your golf. What was it about Illinois and the experience that has lived as testament to other players? Don't complain about the weather, just get the job done.
That's right. Yes, at that point in time, everyone was telling me, oh, you have to go south, you have to go west, go to a golf school. If you're going to play professionally, you need to do that. But for me, I felt to really develop my game and to become a player whose game could travel anywhere, it would benefit me the most to play at a school in the Midwest where I could be faced with a variety of weather challenges and the people. It really came down to the people. You know, we've talked a lot about family tonight, but people like Carol Kars, I mean, she has done so much, not only for every female athlete that has ever played at the University of Illinois, but every female athlete in this country. And we all owe a debt of gratitude to her. And then Paula Smith, who was my coach when I was a student athlete here at the U of I, she is absolutely one of the most genuine and wonderful people that I have ever met. And I am honored that she entrusted me to take over the reins of the program and become the third women's golf coach in the history of the U of I.
As the spouse of a Division I scholarship athlete, it's hard to believe that it's not all that long ago that Title IX was not a factor. And now that we have multiple Title IX generations impacting society and sports, it's so great that our kids are growing up expecting their sisters and their female friends to be just as good athletes as they are. That's the work of the great athletes who've come before and great administrators as well. And on this 45th anniversary this week of Title IX, what a great opportunity to honor these three great women as they're inducted into the University of Illinois' inaugural Athletic Hall of Fame. Congratulations, and thank you, ladies.
Lou Boudreau. He served as captain of Illini baseball and basketball teams, leading Illinois to Big Ten titles in both basketball and baseball in 1937. He is one of 3 Fighting Illini athletes to have his uniform number retired. Dwight Dyke Edelman. He played in the 1947 Rose Bowl and finished second in the 1948 Olympics as a high jumper. He was the 1949 Big Ten Silver Basketball Award winner after helping lead the Fighting Illini to the NCAA Final Four and earned All-America honors in 1948. Harry Gill. He won an Illinois record 22 Big Ten team championships in indoor and outdoor track and field. Harold Red Grange. He was 3-time consensus All-American and considered by many still today to be the greatest collegiate football player of all time. George Halas. He helped Illinois to a 1918 Big Ten football championship and was MVP of the 1919 Rose Bowl for Great Lakes Naval Training Station during World War I. He was founder of the Chicago Bears and one of the original founders of the National Football League. George Huff. He is considered father of Illini athletics after serving as a player, coach, and athletics director during the first 40 years of the Athletic Association. Herb McKinley. He was a 4-time NCAA champion in the 220-yard and 440-yard dashes. He won a gold and 3 silver medals as a Jamaican sprinter at the 1948 and 1952 Olympics. Allie Morrison. He was the 1928 Big Ten champion and a member of the National Wrestling Hall of Fame. He won a freestyle featherweight gold medal at the 1928 Olympics. Harold Osborne. He set 6 world records and helped Illini sweep 6 Big Ten team titles during his career. He was a 2-time Olympian in 1924 and 1928, winning gold in high jump and decathlon and silver in the 1928 high jump. Andy Phillip. He is the only Illini elected to the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame as a player after earning consensus All-America honors 3 times. Claude Buddy Young. He was inducted as a member of the College Football Hall of Fame after helping lead the Fighting Illini to the 1947 Rose Bowl. After a 10-year professional playing career, he became the first African-American executive hired by the NFL. Robert Zupke. He is a charter member of the College Football Hall of Fame after leading Illini to 4 national titles in 1914, 1919, 1923, and 1927.
As we mentioned earlier, we're honored to have several family members of these great Fighting Illini in attendance tonight to help celebrate their accomplishments. I know you've been giving standing ovations, but don't for the moment, because I'm going to ask the family members who are here to stand to be recognized. We want to make sure that we see you. So family members of those just honored, please stand. Thank you so much for being here tonight. We know and trust you'll take back to your families all the warm wishes and what a special night this is, and those people who are such a special part of your lives, such a special part of Illinois' athletic history, and duly honored tonight. There is a full list of all the names of these guests who are here tonight in the event program. I encourage you to check that out as you take the program home and look at it this evening or tomorrow morning. Okay, it is a pleasure to welcome to the podium a former Illini basketball manager and truly one of the industry leaders in our business, sports television, all of television for that matter. He served in the role as president of ABC Sports from the University of Illinois, class of 1968. Please welcome Mr. Dennis Swanson.
Thank you, Mike. And first of all, Mike, congratulations to all the Hall of Fame folks. You know, the one thought I had as I watch all these great names come across stage, wow, I think of some of the great names that we got plenty of room for next year and the year after. You know, when I was in school, we had people like Abe Woodson and Bob Mitchell and Ray Nitschke, just to name a few alone. So, and I visited with Deon Thomas earlier. He's worried about Lou Henson getting in. I said, you know, both of you should be in. Anyhow, one shout out I got to make about this class though, because I was, as Mike mentioned, I was basketball manager from 56 to 60, senior manager in the 59-60 season, and I spent a lot of hours in Huff Gym with two people that you're going to see up on this stage later on. They're dear friends. I'm so proud for what they've done in their lives, both in basketball and in business, and Manny Jackson and Jerry Colangelo, God bless you. Actually, one other name that was in the gym with us 59 to 60. Unfortunately, freshmen couldn't play in those years, but we sure could have used Dave Downey. So, you know, that was a pretty good group. And as successful as all of them have been, you know, God's been good to me, and I owe the credit for that to the University of Illinois. I wouldn't have been able to do what I accomplished in the media. And the College of Communications, they took me under their wing. My professor later moved on to Eau Claire. He was a Wisconsin person and finished up there. But Henry Lippold treated me like a son, and I learned so much from him. And then when I came back to grad school, I was his teaching assistant, and I wouldn't have been the journalist that I turned out to be without his guidance. The other thing, you know, my wife Kathy's here. I met her at the University of Illinois. My first daughter was born here at the University of Illinois. And then one other thing that had a great impact on me, which because it's a land-grant school, you have to take ROTC. No way was I going to be in the Army or the Air Force. Ted Williams was my hero when I was growing up, and he was a Marine, fought in two wars, World War II and the Korean War, and would have broken Babe Ruth's record had he not served those 5 years. But anyhow, I wanted to be a Marine. I was commissioned in the Marine Corps out of the Illinois NROTC unit. And between the education I got in Champaign at the University of Illinois, you know, my mom was a bronze tablet student. I'm not that smart, but I still got a good education. And the leadership training I got in the Marine Corps put me in pretty good stead in life. Now, it's great to be in Chicago tonight because, you know, I get to Chicago. You know, I ran the ABC-owned station here back in the early 80s, and we did some hiring. We hired this young woman from Baltimore. Her name was Oprah Winfrey. That worked out pretty good. She's super rich, and I got promoted. And as I got to New York, some of my sports background began to play in some of my jobs. I was president of ABC Sports, did the Calgary Olympics, and had a lot of fun doing that. And then later on, when I was at NBC, I was co-chairman of the Olympics there. And the one thing that I had was the opportunity to work with some of the greatest athletes, as you're seeing here tonight. I think back to ABC Sports days, and Arthur Ashe worked for me for 10 years at ABC Sports. And what a tremendous human being he was. He died too soon. He had an illness that he couldn't overcome and died way too soon, but a remarkable man. Now you're going to meet later on here Craig Tiley, Mr. Tennis at Illinois, what he accomplished. I'll save it for the video, but he was too good. The Aussies wanted him back to, recreate their tennis greatness there, and we lost him. And then I think of some of the Olympians that I worked with over the years as color commentators. In track and field, Dwight Stones and Carl Lewis. In swimming, Donna DeVerona. Talk about somebody that had an impact on Title IX, Donna DeVerona. I told her to write a book. And John Neighbor. In gymnastics, the two gymnasts that I know that worked for me, Bart Connor, who's actually here from the Chicago area, the northwest suburbs, and Nadia Comaneci. In fact, Kathy and I were at their wedding in Bucharest, Romania, back in the mid-'90s. And now you're going to see a couple of great gymnasts. Illinois has had great gymnastics teams over the years. A.B. Grossfeld, he probably doesn't remember me, but I was a student when he was here. We were both at Illinois in the late 50s, and I did stories on him for my student sports show on WILL television. And then a young woman who came out of Urbana High School, I think, just a ninth grader, went to the 72 Olympics in Munich on the women's gymnastics team. When I think of 72, the Israeli massacre that took place there, and then the women's gymnastics, that was the Olga Korbut gymnastics. But the American women with Nancy finished fourth, their highest finish ever, and they turned that. I think that was the foundation which built off of, and when you look at London and Brazil, we dominate the world in that sport now. So I probably talked long enough. It's time to look at some video, and you can see these three names that I mentioned and see how good they are. Thank you.
Craig Tiley led Illinois to an NCAA national championship in 2003 with a perfect 32-0 record, as well as ITA national indoor titles in 2003 and 2004. Under Tiley's guidance, the Fighting Illini won 9 Big Ten regular season titles and 6 conference tournament championships. He finished his 13-year Illini career with a 274-77 record. Tiley is currently the CEO of Tennis Australia. A.B. Grossfeld was crowned NCAA champion in the all-around competition in 1958, one of 4 individual national titles he won with the Fighting Illini. He was named Illinois Athlete of the Year and Big Ten Medal of Honor recipient in 1959. Grossfeld was a 2-time Olympian and later coached American gymnasts at 5 Olympic Games, including helping lead the 1984 USA men's squad to its first gold medal in team competition. Nancy Thies-Marshall was a 4-year member of the U.S. national team and 2-time Big Ten Gymnast of the Year. She is the only Illinois women's gymnast to compete in the Olympics, making the 1972 team as a 15-year-old out of Urbana High School. Nancy had a very successful broadcasting career and was inducted into the World Acrobatic Society Hall of Fame in 2010.
And please welcome Craig Tiley, A.B. Grossfeld, Nancy Thies-Marshall.
Welcome, welcome. Grab a chair, grab a chair. Craig, I'll start with you. The belief that Illinois could become the home of a tennis power. You're not talking about the ideal weather as we were discussing before in the golf. What did you see that gave you the belief this could happen?
Oh, Mike, that's a great question. Actually, I've been very lucky. I feel very, very privileged to be sitting here amongst the great athletes and the great coaches, administrators, and thanks again, Josh, for this initiative, how fantastic it is. I got in from Melbourne last night, and I wouldn't have missed this for anything. It was worth getting on a flight to come, but the belief, I think, started with getting the right people, just like the Illinois family with the right people, and I'm lucky, actually, on the table over there, in our first Big Ten title, 1997, the player that won that match that started the streak, Carrie Franklin from Georgia's with us, an All-American. And then the player in 2003 that closed out the 9 straight Big Ten titles and a record of 64 straight wins, which was for a school in the Midwest, Amir Delik, who won the singles, the doubles, and the team title that year. And when I talk about people, I was talking to Amir about recruiting, and we spent a lot of time and effort in recruiting. And I remember picking up Amir from the airport and driving to the Atkins Tennis Center, and he got out the car, and I saw him sniff his nose up, and I got out and said, "That's a strange smell. I've never smelt that before." And then he got in the car, spent the weekend. It was a bad weekend of the South Farms, and he eventually committed to us and won an NCAA title. In those 4 years, he thought, and I told him that was only the first time I'd ever smelt that, and the 4 years he smelled it. So I'm happy you made the choice. The right people, Mike.
It's all about a vision, right? Abby and Nancy, for both of you, the Olympics are always the pinnacle in gymnastics in so many ways, and you've spent so much of your time helping get athletes ready and trained and competing, coaching them in the Olympics. Take us through your Illinois experience and how that was still something that fed the belief that you could prepare gymnasts for the ultimate competition.
Well, when I got to Illinois, the reason I went to Illinois, they were the only university that had a gymnasium specifically for gymnastics. And that's the prime reason why I went there. Of course, I realized that they were very excellent in academics, and that sort of played, that was important for me. But I was lucky. Before I went to the university, I had a very good coach from Europe, and he was a volunteer at a YMCA in New York City. And I made my first Olympic team when I was a freshman. So Illinois having the great facility that it did just made me realize my dream, and I just got better and better, and I wound up making the Olympic team again just as I graduated. So I was grateful for that. And I coached, after I left Illinois, I coached in New Haven, Connecticut at Southern Connecticut State University.
For how long?
For 41 years.
That's all. It's a quick stop.
And we didn't have scholarships, but in that time I had 2 Olympians, and I had one Olympian win a bronze medal at the '76 Olympics, and that was the first medal for individual gymnastics in 44 years, since 1932.
And has inspired more to come after that. Speaking of inspired, Nancy, I have a 15-year-old daughter now. I can't imagine a 15-year-old with that heady weight of competing in the Olympics in Munich, and then all that turned out to be. It's just amazing when you think about it. And you're at Urbana High School at the time.
Actually,
you're just right down the road.
I need to correct that because my best friend in junior high is here, and I was at the junior high when I made the team.
The story gets even better. See, that's a legitimate, the story gets better as we get older. That's good.
That's right.
And you bring proof with it,
Yeah,
too. I
see,
like
I'm not
that.
lying. I'm not
It's
lying.
not fake news.
Yeah.
We love that.
You know, I want to share, I am a native daughter of Urbana. And for anybody who is in this room who is from Urbana or Champaign, I made the Olympic team in 1972 because there was an amazing community behind that. And I grew up at 2115 Boudreaux Street, which is a block from Red Grange Street. And I walked to Yankee Ridge grade school down George Huff, past my friend's house on Zubke. So, yeah. going to the University of Illinois and even dreaming as a 11 and 12-year-old when I sat with my coach who said, I think you can make the Olympic team. I don't think I could have ever believed that if I didn't grow up in a community with names like that. It was part of my DNA, and it is such an honor to be in this group with that.
Well, is there a street named after you?
No,
Well,
it's okay.
anybody who's got any juice in Urbana, and I know it's Illinois, so somebody in the room has political juice in every city. Let's work on that for next time so we can.
All I'll ask is if it is, please spell it correctly.
I just
That's
have
for
a
my
comment.
dad.
Go ahead, Amy.
I don't think Nancy knows this, but when I graduated, to make a little extra money, I started a program at the McKinley Y in Champaign. And when I left, this guy, Dick Mulvihill, took it over, and I think Nancy started gymnastics there.
Yeah, he was my coach.
You didn't know that I started
I did
it.
know that. You didn't.
Did you
I
know
did.
that?
I did.
Oh.
I did.
Okay.
It's good to share the knowledge of a private conversation with
Sure,
everybody
of
here, right? The gymnastics community always strong and always stays together. And in my last life covering tennis, Craig has done tremendous things with Tennis Australia, phenomenally respected around the globe. And the Happy Slam is what everyone calls the Australian Open. But from team competitions, Australian tennis is one of the feel-good things, and his leadership is a big part of that. Congratulations on all your successes and on tonight as well. Congratulations,
Thank you.
Craig, Amy, and Nancy, more members of the inaugural class of the Illinois Athletics Hall of Fame. One last introduction to do, one last group before we call on an evening. And for our final introduction, please welcome to the podium a 1960 graduate of the University of Illinois, the 10th United States Secretary of Transportation, and the White House Chief of Staff for President George H.W. Bush. Please welcome Sam Skinner.
Well, first of all, is Mike doing a wonderful job, Mike? Thank you. Number two, my reaction, I just looked at my wife, Honey, and I said, whoa. If we're here listening and seeing all these athletes and experiencing all of this, we're saying, whoa. Second thing is, what am I doing here? But we'll put that aside. I went out for the swim team for one day, saw their times, and said, I'm never going to make this team. So I got a real job, I guess, or I didn't get a job anyway. My introduction to the University of Illinois started when I was in Springfield, Illinois, and my aunt was dating a football player named Harold Pogue from Decatur, Illinois. Another very viable candidate for the Hall of Fame at some time in the future. Josh, as long as we're advocating. He played the University of Illinois in 1914. He was an All-American. He was, until Red Grange came along, he was one of the greatest football players in history. But more importantly, he was dating my aunt. So he's a good guy. He was a good guy. And he was president of the University of Illinois board for many, many years. And so in my house, I started hearing about Illinois football, and Illinois athletics. And then my family moved to Wheaton, Illinois, and I didn't live on Grange Street, but I would have if I could have. I joined the Wheaton High School football team, which of course now is the Wheaton Red Grange Tigers. And of course, Red Grange was everything in Wheaton, and all of a sudden I really got interested in the University of Illinois. And of course, I want to do a shout out to the McCaskey-Hallis family. I had the honor of knowing George Hallis for many years, and because of George Hallis and Red Grange, and bringing Red Grange in the league, making the NFL what it was today and what it is today, it all started in the automobile dealership in Canton, Ohio with George Hallis bringing Red Grange, an Illinois man, bringing an Illinois man to the National Football League and taking Illinois football to the highest levels. And then I finally got into the University of Illinois. Those days, if you graduated from Illinois high school, you could in. That's how I got in. I graduated from an Illinois high school. And to see all these athletes up here with their poise, their academic presence, and everything else is unbelievable. Number two, Illinois is in tough times right now, and the state of Illinois has some challenges, but I do want to make a couple of shout-outs in addition to the McCaskey family. I just want to, first of all, Stan Eichenberry, our great president, who never quits selling the University of Illinois or wherever he goes. I've had the opportunity to work with Chancellor Jones and President Killeen and his family, and University of Illinois is in great hands. We're going to survive this, and we're going to thrive. Thank you both. They're from New York, and one's from Minnesota, but we love them here in Illinois. I hope you never leave. So thank you both very much. Athletes are an important part of a student's life at the University of Illinois. And once I got here, I got a chance to see these great athletes play. But the thing I remember first is the athletes Bobby Mitchell came back to school while he was in football to finish school. And these athletes would drive by in their big fancy cars by our house, and I'd be looking out, oh my gosh, there's Bobby Mitchell. And then, of course, Buddy Young played here before I was here, but an Illinois guy, and he played in the NFL, a Hall of Famer. And I will tell you, he represented University of Illinois so very well. He was, I tell this story, I know some people at the NFL, and I asked one the other day, what about Buddy Young? And he said, Buddy Young was the nicest. This was not my son-in-law, who you just heard from a minute ago. This was an employee there, the real Stroop. Buddy Young, an Illinois graduate, was the first African-American at the NFL, was beloved at the NFL. Beloved. He would run every day to work in New York, and his family would bring his clothes for the week in, and he would run every day to work, and he had that. He represented the University of Illinois so proud. So it was not hard to go to Illinois, and it was not hard to be proud of Illinois, but athletic. But I've never been more prouder than I am tonight. And I want to do another shout out to Josh and Hope. This is really Josh has driven this. My house, they accuse me of having a bro romance with Josh Whitman. And that's because what I've seen is excellence. This university is excellent. My granddaughter just got back from an engineering camp, and she rated it 9 out of 10. She gives nobody a 9, so it's an example. We've got great athletes, we've got great athletics, we've got a great school and a great university. And Josh, you and Hope are coming in here with all that you brought, outstanding excellence in academics. Somebody we were talking on the way in, maybe the smartest guy ever to play in the NFL. So you're now here on our team, and this is your idea. So thank you both for all you're doing. And Lovey's here, Coach Underwood's here, the kind of people he's bringing in. We should feel glad, happy, excited about the University of Illinois. Needless to say, you can see why I wear one of those 4-year-old Illinois jerseys all the time, polos, why my license plate is an Illinois license plate, why the flag used to fly over my house every day, and I'm so never been prouder. And now to introduce 3 greats. Dick Butkus, who played football here, one of the great all-timers, and you're going to hear more about Dick, but he never quits. He never quit on the football field, and he never quits doing what he does for others. He lobbied me about doing some more stuff in the heart disease and what's going on in heart disease, and that's the kind of heart that Dick Butkus has. Jerry Coangelo changed the world for basketball, represented everything he's done. So, and Lou, I see Lou here. We love Illinois basketball, Lou. It's not just football. We loved and died that Arizona game. Jim Delaney's gone. We should have won the UNC game, but not going there. He's not here. But putting it aside, the excellence is here. And we got Jerry and Manny Jackson, who I watched grow up in Southern Illinois, who came to Illinois, played Illinois, led in many areas in this country, and then frankly led for many years the best sports team I've ever been around and watched, and that was the Harlem Globetrotters for so many years, taking basketball over the world. So let's hear about those 3. Thank you very much.
Jerry Colangelo was a baseball and basketball player at Illinois in the early 1960s before serving as a coach, general manager, and team owner of multiple franchises in professional sports. Jerry was elected to the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame in 2004. He was named director of USA Basketball in 2005 and helped form the framework for Olympic gold medal winning teams in 2008, 2012, and 2016. Manny Jackson was the first African American to start and letter in basketball at the University of Illinois, serving as a trailblazer on campus during an era of social change. After finishing his Illini career ranked 5th on the school's all-time scoring list, Jackson played professionally with the Harlem Globetrotters before entering the business world. He later purchased the Globetrotters, saving the world-famous team from near extinction and leading the organization to record attendance and revenue growth. Jackson was most recently announced as a 2017 inductee to the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame. Dick Butkus earned distinction as the most fearsome linebacker in the history of football. He helped lead the Illini to the 1963 Big Ten title and Rose Bowl victory, was a two-time consensus All-American at Illinois in 1963 and 1964, finishing 3rd in Heisman Trophy voting in 1964. Dick is a member of both the College and Pro Football's Hall of Fame and has his uniform number retired at both Illinois and with the Chicago Bears.
They need little introduction, but we'll do it anyway. Jerry Colangelo, Manny Jackson, Dick Butkus. You know how the last 5 panels, the first 5 have been very nice? This might change. Butkus just challenged me. I ran the other way behind Manny here. Mr. Butkus, you are in about every Hall of Fame that could exist. What does this mean to you, Illinois Hall of Fame?
Well, I think this is the culmination of a lot of things. It was, it was my first encounter with my sport that meant anything besides high school. And I just feel the University of Illinois was like home to me. And not so much, your teammates and everything else, but also the people that live in Champaign, the real people that live there. I remember when I got married, my wife worked at the Champaign National Bank, and with John Edwards. I met Gene Lamb's, I think, nephew or whatever. They were just great people at the University of Illinois, I mean, in that town of Champaign. And I always thought maybe I'd end up there, but to go in, with the inaugural Hall of Fame class, it's quite an honor. And I think part of the responsibility of doing that is to give back, much like the people of Champaign gave to me. They gave my wife a job, and they were good friends, but they helped us along our way because I wasn't really too smart of a guy coming from the south side of Chicago. All I wanted to do was play football, and they were great in allowing me to do that. And I sincerely am humbled by this award.
Dick, since you took us back to your first days on campus, Manny and Jerry, I want you guys to share getting to know each other on campus and just what the times were like during those times and how that bond and sports helped you guys start, a 6-decade relationship here.
Yeah, I should go first, huh? I should go first, huh? You should go. All right. You know, I should tell you, Mike, the one friend I had when I showed up on the University of Illinois campus was a young man named Governor Vaughn. And I can't say enough about the impact that Gov had on my being here, first of all, and secondly, staying here, being able to make it. And I figured Gov was kind of like a brother or closer family. We walked on campus early on, and people looked at us like we were kind of novel, being basketball players and all, and we had been on TV in the state tournaments and all, and they kind of knew us as basketball players only. When we showed up in the Huff Gym, which goes back a long time, for the first time, we did what we do, we played basketball, and Gov and I would go our separate ways. But there was always a guy around us that didn't seem to see us as basketball players or sports figures, but he saw us as people. And today, as it was in those years, Jerry Colangelo. In fact, I always wanted to ask Jerry, are you frickin' colorblind? But he became a friend then, and he's still a good friend, but boy, we had some competition. And we would talk basketball, we'd talk life, we'd talk strategies about how we were gonna win, lose, and get around the coaches and make things happen on and off the court. And you know, that's been so many decades ago, and Jerry, I have to tell you, we're still doing the same thing today. I mean, you think about when I got interested in buying an NBA franchise, the first guy I called was Jerry Colangelo. And I got to walk into David Stern's office with Jerry. At the time I wanted to leave the corporate world and get back into sports, I called Jerry Colangelo. He said, well, come work for me down in Phoenix. And I stayed with Honeywell and got promoted a couple of times, but then later on I wanted to buy the Harlem Globetrotters. And the team was in bankruptcy. And I called Jerry, I said, I got to figure this thing out. The first person who gave me a guaranteed contract to play in Phoenix was Jerry Colangelo. When I joined the Hall of Fame, early on, I got the most support when I was chairman of the Hall of Fame. We'd sit across the table from each other and kick each other on the table, and we moved that Hall of Fame just by looking, nudging at each other, and we started to change the direction. It was Jerry Colangelo. And as he's become the chairman and really the mover and shaker of the Hall of Fame, which will probably never be the same again, it's an incredible organization, thanks so much to Jerry. We still look across the table at each other and say, it seems like we're looking at each other in the 50s or early 60s. It hadn't changed. So I can't say enough good things about a really decent basketball player, but an incredible human being. And I got one last thing to say, and I'll stop for the whole evening. If I ruled the world, my choice of a lead person in Washington, D.C., and I've never said this before, would be Jerry Colangelo. Hands down. Hands down. Thank you.
I'll proudly second that. So now, Jerry, that we've said everything about you, how perfect you are, just give us some dirt on Manny. Give us something. No. I don't mean it that way. Just tell us about Manny and the man you met and how you've watched him over the years.
Well, I don't have any dirt. Let's start with that. And Manny, I appreciate all the things you said, but as far as Washington, D.C., no shot. No shot.
We'll send Butkus to D.C.
What's that?
We'll send Dick to D.C.
Yeah, that'd be better.
Yeah.
That would be better.
Not me either.
So, no, Mike, I would just say this. You know, as I have heard all the things said tonight by all of the honorees, you know, it's about a passion that people have for their respective sport, for the university, for relationships, and that's what life is all about. And, you know, my lasting impressions of the university is that I know this is true for Dick, I know it's true for me and for Manny, because we all started with nothing. And the school gave us an opportunity, yes, to get educated, yes, to end up with a platform in our respective lives, and we develop relationships that have lasted a lifetime. And that's very special.
And we've talked a lot about family, about the Illinois family, families within many of these sports. Dick, so many members of your family followed to the University of Illinois. What was that like for you to experience the generations of the Butkus name and the association with the school?
Well, when I look back at it, every time Butkus was at the University of Illinois, they were at the Rose Bowl, which, now I don't know, maybe they didn't win them all, but no, it's glad, and I feel kind of bad because they got a lot of pressure on them, and they think they've got to, play up to the standards that I played with and everything else. But I got to hand it to them that it's just something that says about the university, which I never had thought I'd talk that much about the university, but as you get older, you realize what a great damn place it was. And I told Josh if he had a men's volleyball team, I'd get my grandson over there because he's first team high school All-American middle blocker in volleyball. I'd have his ass in Champaign. But it's just, again, I think it's with the people that make the university and everybody around. I am so lucky and so blessed to have been able to go there. It's probably the best haul that I've got in, really, because like I said, I came from nothing, and this is the first one. Yep. Great people.
Just to wrap up with this, think of these gentlemen and think of life beyond Illinois and where it was a gateway to for them, as they mentioned, associated with three of the greatest brands in sports and having a significant impact on them. The Chicago Bears, still to this day, a couple of generations after he stopped playing, people associate Dick Butkus with the Bears. USA basketball around the world is back on top. Without Jerry Colangelo, it wouldn't be. Go to every corner of the world and mention the Harlem Globetrotters. Manny took that brand back out there to make sure everybody in this generation still remembered it. But what says the most about people is when from the heart and with their time and with their energy and with their passion, they lean back on that first brand that they were associated with. So I'd like you all to leave everyone here tonight with a sentence or two about the University of Illinois and about going forward from tonight to make tonight not just the first Hall of Fame class, but a night to energize the Illinois alums in Chicago, the fans all around this country, to get reconnected and push the Illinois brand forward. What does this night mean to all of you regarding Illinois and athletics in the future? Manny, you want to go first?
Well, what it means to me is that, first of all, I wouldn't be where I am without the University of Illinois. The first time I told someone I went to Illinois, they said, "Where in Illinois?" And I said, "Illinois." And I said, "The University of Illinois," and my life changed. And I will tell you that we need to, I shouldn't say we need to, I am prepared to be a spokesperson out front and a brand band leader and cheerleader for the University of Illinois, and I think all of us should do that. Thank you.
Yeah, Jared?
You know, Manny said it as well as anyone could possibly do it, and that comes from his heart. I know him pretty well, And so I would echo his sentiments. I would also say this in the form of a challenge. Yes, this is a great event. Yes, this is a great way to start building equity in the university, because there's reason to do that. And by changing a culture, and I'm always into culture changing, the culture change that needs to take place is there are so many stories, there are so many legends here over these last 125 plus years that you have to take advantage of that and then use it, and everyone jump in and change the culture. That's how things are going to change. It's not just going to be by, having a plan and people just talking about a plan. You have to execute the plan and stay with it. USA basketball was something that I knew needed to have a cultural change to get the respect back from people around the world, because we had lost it. And so once we did that, I knew we were on our way. You lay a foundation. There's such a great foundation that's there, maybe fragmented, is bringing it all together, having this plan, and then going for it. With all the resources this university has in the way of people who have become very successful, there's no reason in the world why it could not be number one in everything.
I think if you look around, you'll see all the other Big Ten teams at their Hall of Fame awards night saying the same thing, that they're the greatest and we got the best athletes and everything else, but I would beg to differ with them. Maybe we've had some low times or whatever, but I think as past athletes of the university, it's the ability to give back. And you heard all these guys tonight say the same thing. It was a constant deal of giving back. And mostly it's you people that give back and enable us to do our dreams or become who we are and be able to sit up here, and they could say whatever they want about the other universities, but I beg to choose the University of Illinois. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, three of your all-time best: Dick Butkus, Jerry Colangelo, Manny Jackson. Thank you all for letting me share this night with you. You truly have a special setting and a special time, and it's great to hear the stories from individuals and the collective energy of what this is all about. I'll give you back to Josh. Have a great summer, and thanks.
Big round of applause for Mike Tirico doing such a great job leading us through tonight. Before we wrap up tonight, just a few final pieces of very important business. You'll recall in the fall, last October, when we made the announcement that we were going to create this Hall of Fame. At the same time, we announced the first member of the inaugural class. It was Dick Butkus, and so grateful to him for being with us today. We'd like to continue that tradition, and so tonight we'd like to announce the first member of the 2018 Hall of Fame class. It's someone you've heard about several times tonight. I can't come close to duplicating the sentiments that other people have said about this individual, but suffice it to say, he is one of the most influential figures in the history of our athletic program, and without question, one of the most beloved. So if you would, join me in welcoming the first member of the 2018 Hall of Fame class, your coach, Lou Henson. Lou, Mary, thank you so much for joining us this evening. We look forward to celebrating your great legacy again next summer. The one, as I've sat here and listened to everybody's comments tonight over the course of the evening, the one word, and Mike hit on it, that keeps coming up is family. And I would be remiss if I did not say thank you and introduce you to my family, my beautiful wife, Hope, who is with us tonight. We have a wonderful 9-month-old little girl who's probably screaming her head off back at the hotel. Little Tate, who's may or may not, depending on the audience, be named for Lauren, who's also with us somewhere in the audience tonight. The thing I will say about family, and we talk a lot, Dick said, look, every university thinks they're the best, every athletic program thinks they're the best. That's true. What makes us different, and I don't know if you felt this, but as I've sat here and been a part of this evening, it's almost like we're at a wedding, right? Where you see old friends, you see old family, you wrap your arms around each other and celebrate something very special. And the feeling here is different. That's what's going to make us better. It's what's going to make us the best, is the feeling that exists amongst our fans, amongst our players, our student athletes, our coaches, our administration, our leadership. We're going to do this together. And together we have a very, very bright future. I hope that you came into this evening with high expectations. I hope that you have had every one of those expectations shattered by what tonight was. We look forward to celebrating this wonderful event year in and year out. We waited 120 years to form this Hall of Fame, and we're only going to wait 12 months to do it again. It is an unbelievable honor to be here. What I'd like to do now is invite all of our honorees to the stage for a few reasons. One, we've got some photographs to take. Number two, as many of you know, our tradition at these kinds of events is to finish up with the singing of Hail to the Orange. We'd like to bring them up, and as they're coming, I'd invite everyone to stand, show them how much you appreciate everything that they have meant to this great university. And then join them, if you would, in singing Hail to the Orange. All right, I didn't sign up for this part, but I'm the unofficial song leader, so here we go. Everybody ready? Wait, we got everybody up here?
Hail to the orange, hail to the blue. Hail alma mater. Ever so true, so true. We love no other, so let our motto be.
Thank you so much for spending one of your summer Friday nights with us. A final round of applause and congratulations to our 2017 inaugural University of Illinois Athletics Hall of Fame class. Thanks again, safe travels, and we'll look forward to seeing you down in Champaign this fall. Go Illini.